This morning, I'm speaking with Brydie, who runs Paint Pot Parties. And which year did you set it up, actually, Brydie?
2024. So this
2020.
month it will turn to, yeah.
Ah, oh, great. So nearly two years in. So do you want to start us off by uh, just telling us a bit about your background story and
Mhm.
how you got into this business?
Of course, yeah. So I have always loved art. I've always been a creative girl and always used it as an outlet, sort of whilst I was just as a hobby, really. I had all my little ones really young, so I became a mum when I was 20, and then again at 21, 22, and 24. So had them all really young and used it always, just as a little bit of me time, something to do with the kids as well. I absolutely loved sort of doing all sorts of things creative with them as soon as they were old enough to do sort of handprint crafts. They were doing handprint crafts, and then I trained as a project manager. So I was working as a project manager in software development and tech, and it just didn't fit family life. I needed something that I didn't want to. I was about to turn 30, and I didn't want to spend my 30s in the same corporate rut that I had spent my 20s in. So I want to do something creative. I really want to channel that. And I had recently split with my kid's dad as well, so they were going off every other weekend, and I didn't really know what to do with my time. Was doing a lot of workshops and stuff, attending workshops, and then one of them said to me, well, "Why don't you give it a go? Have a go at running some workshops." I was like, "Okay, well that could give me something to do on the weekends when the kids are at their dad's." So I started doing initially children's workshops and children's birthday parties, and then it very, very quickly turned to doing adult parties and hen parties, baby showers. There was clearly a sort of gap in the market for those creative events, and it wasn't until just over a year in that I left my full time employment. I was sort of just doing them on weekends and evenings, until August of last year, when I finally was like, no, I've got it to the point now where I can. This could be my full time job. So I now Paint Pot Parties is my full time job. I run creative events all over the Cotswolds, Gloucestershire, and Worcestershire. So it's yeah, we run about 20 to 30 events a month now. I've got a small little team, and it's just all out creative chaos all the time. But it's absolutely brilliant. I love it. I love it so much.
Was there a moment where you thought, this, like, I'm doing this as a hobby, and actually I think I can tip this over into being a successful business, or did it sort of just emerge that way?
Yeah, it was via attending workshops as a participant, and then having someone say to me, well, wait, well, you have a background in events and project management and stuff. Why don't we you sort of come along and have a go at doing a couple of workshops? And I said, okay, I've never done anything like that before. I've always been the planner or the sort of the manager, and never stood up in front of a crowd of people and led a workshop. Didn't think I could, to be honest. I always said like a teaching role wouldn't be for me and those sorts of things. But I gave it a go and just loved it. So it was never, I never had visions of it being what it's become. I always just thought that it would be something for me to do every other weekend, have like a children's party to go in and run, every other weekend when the kids are away. But yeah, it's grown legs and arms in every single direction. And it's
Amazing.
been incredibly fun. Incredibly fun.
Yeah, no, so if you can blend a hobby with a business that you love and actually make money out of it as well, that's
Yeah.
the sort of holy grail, isn't it? You're doing something
Yes.
that you love, but it's also your business. So,
Yeah, it's that cliche, isn't it, where they say if you your work, then you never really work a day. And it does feel like
Yes.
that now. I just get to go, oh, I wonder if this will work, or team up with created such a lovely like network around me of other creatives and different people in similar but different fields, and we go, oh, if we teamed up, and would this work and would that work, and then let's give it a go. And you just get to have so much fun with it. It's limitless, and there's so much to keep my brain ticking and entertained, which is takes a lot. It takes a lot. My
Yeah,
brain is
that's
always
great. What was the first paid booking that you got, and what did that kind of look like? Was it one of the evening parties, or what was the thing that really sort of got you off the ground?
So the first thing I did a ticketed event initially. I did a children's plant pots painting workshop at like a local community hub where we were living. So did that, and that was a sellout.
You were able to then leave your actual career job that you had initially, and it gave you enough kind of space to work solely on the business.
Yeah,
Um, so what does the paint pot parties experience include? I had a look at your website and it looks really fun, and you've obviously got different kind of
yeah.
themes going on. Um, so how do you go about thinking what's going to work, what customers are going to like, or do they make suggestions? How does that all work?
So it's a lot of it is just me going, oh, would that work? Let's see that. And I'm always one of those that like I always would rather beg forgiveness than permission. And it's that kind of just have a go, just put the idea out there, see if people like the sound of it. So with like our brush strokes and barn dance, that's one of our newest events that we launched the end of last year, and that was closely with a friend of mine who's a dance teacher. We were like, oh, I wonder if we could team up and do like we now do a cowboy hat painting workshop, and then a line dancing workshop with them wearing their hats that they've just created themselves.
So, Bridie, you've got 4 young children. Do
Yeah.
you have anything that looks like a typical day? And how do you balance your running your business with the children?
So I have the four of them, and they are one of them has just started secondary school, but up until then they were all primary age. Which means I do have that lovely window where they're all at school. So typical day is always obviously starts with the school run, get them all dropped off. And what I usually then do is I'll usually go to a coffee shop. So I'll take my laptop with me to do the school run. That's what I like about owning your own business and being able to work on your own terms, is that I probably work way, way, way more hours than I did when I was in the corporate world, but it's hours that suit and flex to fit me, and that just works. And it's just so nice to be able to do like go to like the Easter service at the church on the Friday just before that, when they broke up on Friday. I was just sat there like, oh, I haven't had to ask anyone permission to be here. I'm just here. So a typical day, there's no such thing. But I'd say that's pretty much how it usually goes. And then I'll go off and do a workshop in the evening. Little two are just off to bed as I leave for a workshop. So tends to be that kind of thing. And then my main events, all of my bigger events, are always on a weekend when they're not here, they're at their dad's. So that works really well.
Yeah. So when you do the workshops in the evening, what time do they go until? They
They
sort
go
of,
on to about 9, half 9.
okay. So
So
you're sort of
yeah,
not finishing till about 10 p.m. or so?
yeah. Usually after close down and after sort of packing away, it'll be 10:30, home by about 11ish. Yeah.
So it's a pretty long day, isn't it?
A long day. It's a long day. It really is. But that's not every day. That's usually sort of once or twice a week that I'll do an evening workshop. And I
Yeah.
do have a brilliant team, just a small team of 3 artists who do some other weekday workshops and stuff for me. So I did originally try to limit it to once or twice a month rather than once or twice a week, but it's grown again now. So I think we might need to be putting the feelers out very soon for more artists to come on board. and grow the team again.
That's fantastic. I was going to ask you about the team. So you've got yourself, obviously you mentioned your husband, and family is so
Yeah,
important. For I found that as well, for support when you set up your own business, you need those people around you, don't you? Um, and then so you've got a team of artists who they run the workshops, do they, through for you?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So one's in Gloucester, one's in Cheltenham, and then one's sort of over more towards Oxford way.
Hmm.
So they have like the venues within those areas that they tend to cover, and they're more sort of the regular monthly workshops. So we do like weekly paint and sip nights in pubs and things that they have on a regular rolling basis that are theirs to run. And that's working really well. I think they came on board around August September time last year, so around about the time where I sort of was like, no, I can dive 2-footed into the business now. I've got no full-time employment. This is me. So I built a little team that I then had the ability and the capacity to manage alongside running workshops.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So what so far has been your most reliable method of getting bookings? Do you, or I mean, I know you're on social media, but do you have like, is it more word of mouth or partnerships, or how have you found that side of running the business?
I think having good relationships with the venues, and them being very, very good venues, very good reputable venues with their own followings sometimes is a huge thing. I've found there are certain venues that the events will just sell there, because of what the venue is or who they are or their following, um, without sort of too much needing to be put in from our side. And then Facebook community pages. So rather than sponsored ads or just posting on our own social media, for each of the localities, like finding those spotted pages, those buy and sell pages, it's a lot. I have That's probably the only thing that I'm really like quite regimented with, is twice a week I will spend 2 or 3 hours in a block, going through all of those pages and posting whichever events are happening in those areas on those local small community Facebook pages for those particular areas. And that evening there'll be a flurry of ticket sales. So it's laborious, but you almost reap the reward straight away. So it makes it worthwhile doing. But that's
Yeah.
definitely been the most, I think, successful way of getting bums on seats, has been the community Facebook pages. And it
Hmm.
takes a long time. It takes a long time
Yeah. Yeah.
to do them. And so social media itself takes a huge chunk of any business owner's time, I think, if you're doing it all by yourself. But
Yeah, I
yeah,
mean, social media management is very time consuming. And even with the tools that we have now to schedule things, and AI and Canva, etc., it's still quite time consuming. I find that as well. I think
yeah.
it's one of the things that business owners look to potentially outsource as well, so that you can just know that it's running and you don't have
Mm-hmm.
to have that like level of involvement with it. But
I'm quite I well, I quite often describe myself as a control freak. I've tried to think of a better way of putting it, but there is no better way. That's the honesty is the best policy, and that is me. So I would find it extremely hard. I think outsourcing anything and growing the team was like a huge decision for me to make
mm,
for that reason. I think when you've poured yourself, and so much of my business is built around me, it's everything that I like, and there's so much of me in that, and to trust anyone else, I think, to take the reins on anything is still something that I really struggle with. And I worry that sometimes that it might hold me back as a business owner, and that I do need to learn to let go a little bit more in order to grow the business, even more so. But for the time being, I'm still like, yeah, it's my baby.
mm.
it's my fifth baby. Like, it's it's
Yeah,
yeah,
I can
it's hard.
understand that though, because the business is like a baby, and you have the idea, you set it up, you grow the business, you decide on how it's going to operate, what your products or services are, like basically everything. And then I have felt like that as well. It's really hard to sort of let part of it go. And
Mm-hmm.
then you get into this situation where you understand that you have to delegate certain things to make it run smoothly. But as you say, you don't want to do that too much because it is like your personality, and sort of founder-led businesses, that is a massive part of the brand as well. Like people are buying your personality, your energy, your expertise, all of that, and you can't just hand that over to somebody on a
Yeah,
plate.
yeah, yeah. It's really hard to trust somebody else to put as much into it and care as much as you do about it. I think that was my main sort of worry, and still is my main worry whenever I'm outsourcing anything, is that be careful with it. and
Yeah,
yeah, and learning to go, oh, just because it's not exactly the way I would do it doesn't mean it's the wrong way to do
yeah, that's true.
it.
Yeah. So, Bridie, tell us a little bit about the therapeutic workshops that you do.
One of my little boys, he has quite high needs autism, and I trained during lockdown actually, and towards the end of lockdown, I trained as a therapeutic art coach. And it was something for me to do to kind of keep me sane. But at the same time, I found that as I was doing the training, it was lending itself really, really nicely to being able to do things with him, and also with all of the children, because I think we can all benefit from that sort of therapeutic touch. And when it comes to being creative, and the arts, it is such a good way of switching off, and being able to block out everything else around you with little to no real, like you only need a doodle pad and a pencil, and you can do art therapeutically. Like it's just amazing. And when I found, when I set up the business, so I was already a therapeutic art coach before setting up Paint Pot Parties, and I, again, one of the sort of the things that pushed me into running the workshops was the fact that I had this qualification, and I knew that it would be able to be used in other ways than I was using it currently, sort of more just for sort of personal use and stuff. But I didn't have the confidence in facilitating any of those workshops, and it's been able to give us, I think, like a bit of a unique edge, and a bit of an additional extra is that all of the workshops are created with that therapeutic touch in mind. I have, since I've gone into sort of SEN schools, and I've worked with different charities and care homes and things like that to run workshops with the people within in those places, and it's always so rewarding. It's so beautifully rewarding. And even the ones that are just for fun, so my paint and sip nights and things like that, the amount of people who say, they go, oh, this is so therapeutic. And I'm like, it is. That's exactly what it is. We're having fun, we're getting creative, we're blocking out the world for a couple of hours. And it's, yeah, it's all linked up really, really nicely. It's like all of my passions just all being able to
Together.
be smushed into one.
Yeah, that's so important. So I have three children, and two of them have SEN needs as well, but we didn't know until they were older.
Yeah,
Um, but I think for anyone actually, having a creative outlet is really important. Um, and supporting that, because there's been quite a lot of talk about how in some schools they're having to reduce the curriculum and potentially cut arts and music and things like that. But
yeah,
actually, even if you don't go on to be a musician, having a part of that in your life is really, really
mhm.
important. So have you seen sort of outcomes with children who come to your parties with SEN needs? Can you see sort of tangible outcomes like
Absolutely.
that?
Obviously, it's not always obvious that you've got someone in the session that has additional needs, and it's been on quite a few occasions. I've had emails from the parents afterwards, where they've said, I just wanted to let you know that my little one was in your session, and it's the most focused I've sort of ever seen them, the most engaged I've ever seen them, the most able to just switch off, and really sort of the way that you nurtured them, and just it. I've had just the most amazing feedback from parents in quite a few of the sessions now that have said that they booked it not knowing how the little one was going to be when they got there. And I think that's always a fear when you're an SEM parent, is that I'm going to book this, nice day out, but there is a high chance that we'll get there and they won't even get out of the car.
Thinking about your business now, and obviously you've come quite a long way already, growing the
Yeah.
business, and you've got artists working for you and a team and all the things that you said. If we talked again in 12 months, what would you love your business to look like? And it could be the same as it is now, but or do you have a sort of vision for how it's going to move in the next year or so?
I would like for it to have grown more. So I'd like to have a bigger team, and to be in more areas. So I would like to sort of have an art coach up a little bit further towards Worcester and a little bit over towards Hereford, so that we can sort of broaden the net, and have events going on in different places. And then my more sort of big events, so the barn dances, the paint and pudding nights, and drag arty parties, which are our three like big flagship events. I would love to take those to big cities. I would really love to have like big ones in Bristol, Birmingham, London. And I think within the next 12 months we'll be making that happen. It's already, talks are already in place. So I would
That's
hope
so
that
exciting.
2027 we'll be taking Paint Pot on tour a little bit, to more big cities.
Wow, that's really exciting. Right, I've got to ask this, how does a barn dance work with the painting? Like, how does that happen together?
So they come in. The first hour and a half of the session is they come in and it's all laid out for them. They've all got their own cowboy hat ready on the tables, and all of the materials and everything to paint and decorate them however they want. So they get an hour and a half to do that. They then break for some food and let them dry. And we clear the tables to the side of the venues, and then we've got that lovely sort of big dance floor area. We always work with acrylic paints in these workshops, so they're dry within 10 or 15 minutes, and ready to be worn. So then they all get their cowboy hats on, and get into lines. And my friend Lottie, she is a Pilates and dance teacher, so she'll then do a line dancing workshop with them. And then once they've been taught sort of 3 different routines, it's then just a little bit of a barn dance into the evening kind of thing. It's just they're so much fun. They really are super fun workshops to be part of. I always like leave with my like face aching, where I've just like smiled and laughed the whole evening. And it's so nice to see so many different like people in there as well. There's no real, you wouldn't say it appeals to only one demographic. There is so many, there's couples on date nights, and there's sort of hen parties in there, and groups of friends, and mums with daughters, or sort of few generations of the family in there. It's really lovely.
That sounds so fun. Yeah,
Yes.
I was wondering, so it's actually the hats that's the
Yeah.
artistic part. Yeah, amazing. That's such a
Yeah.
good idea. I think I might have to come to one of those.
Yes, we got 3 plans over the next 3 months. We've got one a month for the next 3 months. So yeah, we've
Brilliant.
a lot to keep us busy.
Yeah, that's so interesting. You've definitely got like USPs going on there with the therapeutic side and the inclusivity side, and then the way that you're delivering the art workshops is completely different. I've not heard of anything that is combining things in the
Yeah.
way that you're doing that, which I think really gives you an edge.
Yes, yeah, most definitely. And they were always the first adult workshop that I did was a paint and pudding night. So I mentioned my husband's a chef earlier, so we also had that really nice natural like team ready made. So we do afternoon teas and the paint and pudding nights, and he's there and able to cater for them. And really sort of puts a lot of time and effort into tailoring sort of the menus so that they're themed and seasonal, or they suit the painting. So at one point I was doing like a cocktail painting, so the afternoon tea that he put together for that was like a cocktail themed afternoon tea, with like the desserts were different like cocktail flavors. And yeah, it's a lot of creativity and just fun all round. It's
Mm.
just giving everything a go.
So I don't think you're missing your career job that you had before.
Absolutely not. Oh no. No,
This
not at
sounds way
all.
more fun.
Yeah.
But it's been really, really amazing to speak with you. How can you tell people how they can contact you? Because I'm
Yeah.
sure they're going to want to book a party.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. So I'd say Instagram is probably our biggest social platform. That's where I usually spend most of my days. So we are at Paint Pot Parties on there. We're also on Facebook, Paint Pot Parties Limited. And then our website as well is www.paintpotparties.co.uk. So you can find us in any of those places, and it'll be me, as we said. I won't let those. I won't hand that over to anyone. So if you DM us on any of those platforms, it will be me that answers.
Fantastic. I've really enjoyed chatting with you, Brydie. Thank you so
Thank you,
much
Lucy.
for
Thank
coming
you.
on the podcast. Thank you.